Welcome to the Healing with Love Summit. Step into a world where we choose to move with kindness, love, and acceptance for our neighbors on this planet, no matter their perceived differences. Choose to listen with an open heart. Choose to come from a place of learning and sharing. Welcome. I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You Healing, and I now have with me Malva Gasowski. So welcome, Malva.
Hi, Larissa. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
I am happy to have you. I am, as someone who I talk to on a regular basis, almost every day. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I wear many hats, but most of my hats are connected under the umbrella of helping people learn and helping people find the passion in what they do. And that if that means teaching others or learning, this is what I love. So anything from helping trainers in the corporate space learn how to teach others well, to helping mothers and parents learn, to helping online entrepreneurs sell their knowledge and their area of expertise online. So this vast interest always comes from me loving to learn by myself and helping others find the little keys and the little gimmicks of understanding how and why adults learn, because we learn completely differently than children do. Children have an innate need of learning. We unfortunately don't anymore. Hence, I don't know why I haven't acquired the 13th language that I was so dreaming of acquiring, and so on and so forth. And then my passion for project management kind of led me to helping others dissect the difficult into actionable steps to make things come to fruition. And by things to fruition, I mean mostly online businesses and online experts sharing their expertise.
I love that. And on the note of learning, because I think this is really what this whole summit is about being open to learning more about people and being open to allowing people to be who they are. Mm-hmm. When you think about learning, and you talk a lot about education in the online space, but being open to learning, what does that mean? What does that mean to you?
It's interesting that you're asking me this question, and you're asking me this question now. The reason why it's interesting for me internally while you're asking that question is because my perception of learning has changed in the last few months or few weeks. And that's based on one of a close friend who has published a very, very well-known book on wisdom. What is wisdom? And he's a psychologist and an amazing person, and he studies how people learn and when they learn, and I kind of learn from him. So he's my mentor. And a few years ago, him and I had many conversations about pedagogy, which is the science of learning and teaching. And then recently he went down the huge rabbit hole of what is wisdom. And he has a few ways of explaining what wisdom is. And wisdom doesn't come with age, although we wish it did. It doesn't come with the amount of wrinkles. But there are two things that make you or break you from potentially at times being wise. Wise doesn't mean smart, but wise. And those two things of what is learning comes from, are you willing to be wise? And by wise meaning, are you able to understand and comprehend that there is a wider perspective than your own? And that for me is learning, because obviously if you talk to a teenager, they're the smartest in the room. They know everything until you turn around 40 and you're like, oh gosh, I have so much to learn. Why? Because now you're being wiser and you understand that there's a grander perspective that you may not have known. So allowing yourself to be only a little element of the grand perspective. And although we may be looking at the same thing, everybody can perceive it differently, and that's okay. There's no right, there's no wrong. Just, you're different. It doesn't mean that now I'm in the position of trying to persuade you to see it my way. No, I'm just curious to know what you have to say or what your experience of that is. That is number one, when it comes to learning. And number two, something called being wisdom or smart. Hold on, I'm missing a word because I'm losing it in translation. One moment, please. There it is. Being smart, humble, or humble in the way of you being wise, which is a roundabout way of saying, although I've read dozens, hundreds, millions, I don't know how many books, I have X amount of degrees, I have talked to a million people, and I believe that I'm smart, I'm still humble enough to know that even the simplest person that I'm speaking to, by simple, I mean even my 5-year-old, she can teach me something. Meaning I'm humble enough to know that I can still make mistakes and there's still room for me to learn. And that is where the sentence lifelong learning is a passion of mine. So am I wise? Absolutely not. Are there moments where I am? Yes. Are there moments that I always want to be? Absolutely not, because according to scientists, being wise means also that there are no emotions in the decision making and the perception. And I pride myself in being full of love and full of happiness and kindness and being amazing to people. And so I don't want to lose that. That's my childish thing in me. So I will be the old, sometimes wise woman, but never wise.
Love that. I love that. And I think that that speaks to exactly what we're talking about here, because being open to that there are differences. We don't need to be all the same. We can be open to be kind and loving to other people, whether they're different from us or not. And I think that's a piece that's been missing in our society and seems to be growing because we just stand so firm in our belief system, and it's like it's this or nothing. But we can have our belief system and still allow someone else to have a different belief system, have a different way of looking at things, have a different skin color, have a different, life experience, and not have to force people or value people differently based on those different things. And I love this sort of idea of the wisdom versus being smart as well, right? Because we can book learn like crazy, but that doesn't give us the wisdom we need to move through the world. I love that. I love that. So one of the questions I'm asking everyone, healing with love, how would you define that?
It's quite interesting because I'm also, and those of you that may Google me, I'm also in the area of parent coaching. So, and couples coaching. And that is a part of my life that I have stepped away from a little while ago from an active role, but that doesn't change the teachings that are still there. And that is where the love bit comes. I do believe that love, no matter how old you are, is going to change a lot if you need it or if you're deprived of it and somehow it happens to you or is showcased to you. And that can be something as simple as I was walking down the street and then I entered this random boutique where there was makeup and there was this woman. I think she was, I'm going to kind of guess and assume, I think she was around 80, but you could see that she had put in a lot of effort into how she was dressed and her makeup and her hair. Was it my style? Absolutely not. But did she look beautiful? I think so. So I turned around and I said, ma'am, I just wanted to let you know that you look stunning. And the radiance that kind of entered her life, she's like, really? And I'm like, yes, I can see the effort that you put into looking so beautiful. So I just wanted you to know that you look beautiful. That was healing her heart with love. And then you have this 3-year-old who is, dropping on the ground and screaming and saying, "You're not my mom," to a woman where I'm like, whoa, what's happening? And I say, "Hi, sweetheart, what's happening? She's not my mom." "Okay, what do you mean, honey?" "Well, my mom has yellow hair and she doesn't have yellow hair." Fortunately, I knew this woman and I knew this child, and she just went to the hairdresser and changed her hair from blonde to black, and the child was having a tantrum. And I said, "Sweetheart, look at that. Do you want to come sit next to me? Do you want me to show you something?" And then I showed them a coloring book, and then again, me being with kids, I have those things with me, and I said, "Let's color this dolly's hair yellow, and now let's color it brown, and let's color it black. Is it the same dolly?" "Yes, it is, but the color just changed, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so kind of 10 minutes into the conversation of showing that child love, meaning the good heart of a few minutes of my time, and saying, "Okay, well, look at that looks like your mama when it comes to her face." "Yeah, but she's not my mom. My mom has yellow hair." "Well, does this not your dolly because now she's got orange hair?" Well, no. So maybe it is your mommy, but just changed her hair. Yeah, maybe. So how about we change this dolly's hair color? And then all of a sudden, having this conversation with love, I was able to quote unquote heal that little relationship or that big relationship that the little girl had with her mama, but her mama forgot to say, and I'm guessing that girl was a strong-willed child, and change is not good if it's not announced. So again, healing with love. And then there's me, who sometimes comes to my husband and does a little pout, and he's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I need a cuddle because I had a hard day. I'm tired." Everybody was, hugging me and kind of getting their energy from me, from all my kids to neighbors' kids to the animals that I rescue. And then I need a hug too. I need some love. So therefore, my husband's hug kind of heals me when I need it. That's what I mean when I say heal with love. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be just a compliment. It doesn't have to be only with your family. You can share love on the street and be kind to others. And I do believe we are able to, through love and through connection and through conversation, heal not only a single heart, but potentially the world, although it sounds very, very big, but it is possible because I changed the world of someone because I was able to do something, and then someone changed my world because they were able to do something kind for me too.
I love that. I love that. And I think that's really the important part. It's just like, what does it cost us to come from a place of kindness? I always think of like, I think it was in Bambi, Thumper's mom. Yes, it was Bambi. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything, right? And it's like, why can we not just do that? But in this world of online anonymity, we feel like it's okay. And then we've been emblazoned, even in real life, not that online's not real life, but we've been emblazoned by some of our more public figures. I won't get into that, to make hate okay in public, where before we would do it more quietly. We might think it, but we wouldn't be so brazen with it. And now we've been like, it's okay to say hurtful comments or to call somebody out. And what are we getting from it as people to cause so much hurt to other people? What are your thoughts on that?
Interesting. I had this conversation with my son. He's just turned 14 the other day, and he was really wondering, why are there so many trolls? And he had come across a young preteen who was very aggressive in the online space, but was super kind in real life. And that for my son was quite an interesting experience to see the duality of, I'm not saying the duality in personality, but the types of personality being showcased, where in the online space, it was hate, aggression, maybe even vulgar words for a preteen. And then in real life, with contact with other teenagers and boys and adults, this child was the sweetest person in the world. And it was like, what is happening here? And so we went into this whole conversation of what it means to be kind or rude to a person face to face, and what it means in the online space. There is something called the road rage, meaning people get angry in their cars. Why? Because they feel safe in the little structure in the body of the car. No one's going to open your car, especially when it's locked from the inside. So you feel safer to explode and to show your expressions. And this is called an adult tantrum. So what happens when you have access to keyboard? You have keyboard rage, meaning you're able to type things quite quickly and act on impulse and those negative emotions, and then you just throw it out there, but you don't realize that it lands. It lands on the ears or the eyes of someone else, and it lands on their heart, meaning it hurts them. But that's something you no longer see because you only see keyboard. Boo, I dumped my emotions and I'm good. No, you're not. You dumping your negative emotions on someone online is really hurting another person, but you just don't see that backlash, and especially you don't see it immediately. So imagine a sentence, "You're stupid," written down, and just I'm closing my computer and I'm off and I'm enjoying the beautiful sunny day, enjoying my family time or whatever I have going on. That sentence went just into the outer space of the internet, and it means nothing to me. I don't see the emotions on the other person, and that other person may read it and may cry and then be upset, but it doesn't influence me negatively, so I don't get any feedback. And if I do, it's like an hour or two later, but it's not immediate. But if I say that same sentence to you, and it's not in a joking manner, but I really mean it, most likely you're going to say, hey, like just that, that one word and the emotions that are visible on your face will be enough for me to feel the adrenaline pumping. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. Or yeah, well, and then I try to turn it into a joke, feeling that I need to kind of take a few steps backwards. Or I said, oh, you know what, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it that way, I wanted to say XYZ. That immediate and instant feedback actually creates the type of learning environment that we need. And it's very much compared, or we can compare it very much to puppies or kittens playing with their siblings. So if you have 2 or 3 kittens playing together and they play fight and one bites another, the one that is being bitten will cry or scream or jump out and then scare the one that was the attacker. Obviously, they don't do it in a malicious manner, but this is just playing. This is how they learn their strength. Now, if a kitten is raised, taken away from its mom and the siblings too early, or because of tragedy, it doesn't have that playtime with their mama or the other kittens, then that kitten doesn't realize its strength and will start biting the adults and become aggressive, like adults, like human adults in their life, or children. And the adult doesn't have the vocabulary needed to teach that kitten that its biting is too strong. So there's no immediate feedback from kitten biting kitten. There was kitten biting adult or child. There isn't. And so all of a sudden, what does a child do if a kitten bites it? It smacks the kitten automatically. It's not taught. It's just, oh, I need to smack off that kitten that's biting me. So what is the kitten learning? Bite harder. Right? Instead of don't bite. And so I think this is the same thing that happens, or the same way of learning that happens with people in the online space, is they don't get the immediate response and the immediate feedback of something negative. Neither do they get something when it comes to the positive, because I may post a million positive things and never get feedback from that. And then so the internet is a new demon that unfortunately has changed a lot, in my opinion, in the social aspect of people being together. So there are a lot of people that behave differently in the online space, and then in the real life they behave completely differently, and you would not connect that these are the same people. And I believe that is the reason, from like a psychological point of view. I hope that I didn't go too deep.
I think that was really good. I think that was really important. And then it made me think too about the mob mentality and why that has actually emboldened people to be public even, right? Like not everyone, you're right. People who would normally be very kind in person, they just dump online. But then there's other individuals who have, been strengthened in this negative way because of this mob mentality, this group mentality, which is also a psychological thing that we do, even if they're alone, because they know that there's people who are going to back them in their bad behavior, because they have other people who think the same way they do. So even if they're not there right now, they know if it goes, it shows up on the internet, people will stand in and be like, yeah, they absolutely had a right to talk, like that to people. And it's a really interesting dynamic that we have right now. And I mean, I have an understanding. Sorry, Malva, go ahead.
Say that that's the same dynamic that we can see on films from the 80s or the 90s, where a group of bullies would very quickly bully a smaller child, right? So younger one, when it comes to the stereotypical film. And then when the younger child gets their older brother, and then not a group of bullies, but they only see one of those bullies, that bully is not as strong anymore, right? So that's the same thing I do give a lot of examples when it comes to children because their emotions and their behaviors are more visible when it comes to like the understanding of what's happening. And with adults, we lie and we have a tendency to hide our emotions more so. So that people will say, well, I'm not a bully. Well, maybe you are, but you just don't realize that this is how your behavior is affecting the other person. So yes, you are 100% right that in groups, especially negative groups, people have a tendency to feel stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah. And as we see and I do think when we have people who are higher up our hierarchical food chain that we have established in our culture, right? Politicians, celebrities, people who are out there making hateful statements, it allows other people to feel like they can. And not that I agree that those people are better, but that's the way our society has deemed it. We have this hierarchy. And so then other people who maybe aren't as visible feel safe to be as hateful.
Well, we do have a tendency as a human race, thankfully so, to learn from others because, I cannot learn everything. But I am able to learn from others. So I do learn from others. So whatever others are showing me, this is what I'm acquiring. And be it a language, be it a skill, be it a behavior. And, if you go to a very fancy restaurant and you've never been, and you see everybody eating with 3 knives and 3 forks, and there are a million plates and 15 glasses in front of you, and you're only used to eating homemade food, or in your culture you eat food with your fingers. If you start eating food with your fingers being in a high-end restaurant, you'll start observing, something's wrong, or I'm a little bit different. And this is called the theory of mind, and this is something that starts at the age of 5 to 6. So you realize that you are perceived in a specific way or with the people around you, and you start thinking about what others are thinking about or how they are perceiving the situation. That is why children under the age of 5, all dirty in chocolate, being asked, have you eaten chocolate? Nope. Right? But when they turn 5, 6, 7, they're like, oh, can mama see? And they start washing their face before they're like, nope, I didn't. Or they look in the mirror to see if their face is dirty. Nope, I didn't. Why? Because the theory of mind starts kicking in, meaning what will others think about me when I'm doing something? And so I'm learning. So if I go to this fancy restaurant and start eating with my fingers, and I notice that other people are looking at me in, let's say, inquisitive manner or even a disgusted manner, because people do have a tendency when they're higher up in the pecking chain to belittle or look down at others who are behaving differently. Again, stereotypically here, then what I will do is most likely put the food down and start observing left, right. Okay, so what do I use now? What fork do I use? And I try to assimilate myself with others. And that is another psychological thing. People don't like to stand out too much. So although I may deem myself an individual, that I am special and there's only one of me and I'm the best in whatever, being the best version of myself, I still don't want to stand out too far away from the people surrounding me, not to be thrown out of the tribe, because I still want to belong. Right? So again, I'm looking for those that are the same as me, and that being, if I'm able to say, well, she, he, and they are able to bully, maybe I'll do the same. Or he, she, and they are into intermittent fasting, maybe I'll do the same. Or this group of people are into fitness and healthy living, maybe I'll do the same. Or this person's into rap, maybe I'll do the same. That is why we have all these cliques. The whole point, in my opinion, is to create a generation of people that are able to see the negative that is in life and not join that. Just choose to be kind. If you can be anything in this world, choose to be kind. That does not mean you will allow people to walk over you, but it means even kindly just set your boundaries and say, hey, I do not wish for you to speak to me that way. Right? And that is also being kind, because you don't fight back, you just set boundaries.
I love that. I think that's the perfect place to end this. because it's like, if you can be, choose anything, choose to be kind. I love that. I love that. Well, I want to thank you for being here. And do you have any final thoughts before we go today?
The only thing that I would love for anyone and everyone listening to this, see how you can change the world to be a better place for you, for your children, for your loved ones, and around you. And if you see something that can be fixed with kindness and with a kind word, give it a go.
Thank you for watching this interview. This interview was part of our Healing with Love Summit, which includes healing practices with each interview. If you're interested in learning more or purchasing the full summit with interviews and healing exercises, click the link below. Remember that it is a choice how we move through this world. Choose love. Love heals.